Morning, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Judith. Judith, I'm going to need you back here right away. Uh-huh. I want to say good morning to everybody. Hi to the people on the Zoom call. I see the screen is filled with people. I'm apprised midweek every week of the number of people who are watching us throughout the week on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And some of you are there now, so I always invite you to send us a message. We'll send you the link. Join us on the Zoom call because we all interact, or at least we have a chance to interact after any lesson we do, either today, any Sunday, and any Thursday. We meet every Thursday at 7 for our signature class, which is You Can Heal Your Life. It's based upon the teachings of Ernest Holmes and Louise Hay. It's our most popular activity. There's a friend of mine who's a minister, Reverend J. Scott O'Neill, for many, many, many years. And I'm reminded of him. He said, you know, the thing about teaching religious science is, he said, I could have a Yellow Pages. Now, some of you don't even know what Yellow Pages are anymore. But he said, I could open up any page and look at any subject, and I can turn it into a Science of Mind lesson. He said, because you're always dealing with one idea when it comes to this teaching, which is how life is responding to this thing called principle, or responding to you. So he said, the lesson doesn't have to be complicated. He says, you just have to be a little imaginative every week, to get people excited about the power that they possess. And we do have a process that we teach, an affirmative process. In the old days, we called it spiritual mind treatment. And I know that phrase sometimes scares new people who don't understand the teaching. But it is an affirmative process wherein you're going to, in your own being, wherever there are negatives, wherever there are areas where you're stuck. It's a process where through a realization and a meditation, you're going to center yourself in God awareness, and it's a process wherein you're going to neutralize any belief that's not positive, and you're going to replace it with ideas of truth. It was Jane Claypool, who was a contemporary of mine out in Carlsbad, California, who I was delighted to know, and she always said, spiritual mind treatment is the crown jewel of religious science. She said it really is the very thing that differentiates us from the entire New Thought movement. It's so powerful potentially. And I was sitting listening to Jane one morning at the Asilomar, and we had both heard two amazing talks. At Asilomar, they can have people, famous authors and all kinds of people. But this was a morning where there were two people who may not have been famous, but they really told amazing stories. One of them, I remember well, was a woman who had pulmonary problems, embolisms, and she's also dealing with ovarian cancer. And she got up and she told her story and all the things that she was doing with the power of her belief that she got from this teaching. And she was reporting that she was 5 years in, and the embolisms were gone, and she was even having great success with ovarian cancer. I've witnessed throughout my 30 years or whatever it's been, people heal in every possible way. And Louise Hay very simply said, all healing is self-healing. And we have power that we're really not even in touch with, most of us. We have the power to transform our life. There's no area of your life that really, if you bring this power, you bring attention to the area of your life that you can't improve. And you might have within yourself old hardened beliefs, And they could be fortified by people in your family. They could be fortified by your doctors. They could be fortified by Quest Diagnostic, which will tell your blood work. There's a lot of stuff that's out there that might say, I'm not okay. And you might be believing that now. You might have years and years of experience which supports the idea that I'm not okay. So you come into a teaching like this and we say you're not only are you okay, but you're amazing and you have potential. There's inherent in you spirit, which is forever correcting. And Emerson would say years ago that it not only is spirit there, but it's wooing you. See, there's something inside of you, even when you're messing up, and especially when you're messing up, that's, I don't know if it's your conscience or there's something there that's attempting to bring you the information you need so you can make another decision. I've said in previous lessons that life gives clues. And that came from a minister friend from another place. And she says, you know, if you don't get the lesson the first time around, it's going to come to you again and again. Because life itself is moving forward by means of every person on this planet. So I don't have to worry about what Judith is doing, Reverend Judith, Dr. Judith. I don't have to worry about I don't have to worry about what anybody's doing. You know, it's not that I don't care about them, but I trust completely that Spirit is with them, guiding them, and they don't have to believe what I believe. They can believe another faith. It doesn't even slightly matter. I live, I move, I have my being in this source. And this source is intelligence. It's intelligence in a way that I can't even understand intelligence, and that I can't even talk about intelligence. But it's certainly a part of every living person. And people are different. They show up differently. They've got different shapes, different colors, different, levels of education. And you know something, in the scheme, in the bouquet of life, because it's every type of flower, every type of person, everybody is a part of this, and everybody has this guiding intelligence in them, wooing them. And really, when Louise Hay used to say all is well, she was encompassing that kind of knowledge, that you don't really have to worry about anything. There is that which is within you that is in touch, and it knows. And you might say, well, I'm not in touch with much because my life is a disaster. And, I know people come in to us oftentimes when they're not really feeling too great about themselves. And okay, you come in when you're not feeling too great about yourself, then you've landed in the right place. Because we're here to remind you every single week of the truth of who you are. I hate to get religious on you, but you are God incarnate. All the power, all the love, all the intelligence that there is resides in you. So you're standing on holy ground. You have everything you need, and you will always have whatever you need. The only thing you need to do is turn to it. And when I say turn to it, I'm not suggesting you look above, because I promise you it's not found there. I'm suggesting you look within and realize how great thou art. And keep on telling yourself how great I am. And that's not being arrogant. That's not being full of yourself. It's really speaking the truth. You are one with the one. You are one with everything that is intelligent, good, and wonderful. It's our task to wake up to who we are and to increasingly live from that space of knowing. It's a practice. In terms of the affirmative process, they used to say to me when I was a young student, you do the practice early, late, and often. And I used to think, well, what the hell does that mean? It means you're developing the consciousness of seeing the good. And you've often heard me say before, I learned this from Edwina Gaines years ago, she'll say, I'm here to see the God and the good and the God. Whatever is happening in her life, she'll say, is a blessing. And of course, I thought these people were a little bit daft when they would talk that way. But really, they had it right. I've been around all kinds of people and all kinds of spiritual disciplines in my life, and I've gone to many places and listened to many people. I remember when I was a young person in Florida going to the Krishna temple and listening to everybody and watching them chant, and somebody explained to me, well, every single word that they chant is a synonym for the word God. So I realized if I were walking around chanting 7 different synonyms for the word God all day, I would be blissed out of my gourd too. See, the thing is, if you're contemplating this love and this intelligence, it's all about this love, this intelligence, and you can call it whatever you want. But if you're contemplating that, if you are meditating and you're slowing yourself down and you're bringing yourself to a place of realization that not only is there a God, but this very presence and power is right here where you are. And Ernest Holmes makes an important contribution, of course, when he says that there is power in the universe greater than you, of which you're a part. Get that part. There's power in the universe greater than you, of which you are a part. You are an individualization of that power. So whatever that power is capable of doing, it can do through you. See, if you can embrace ideas that I am whole and I am complete, I have everything I need. If you can really embrace that, and I'm one with this power, and I'm whole and I'm complete, just that knowledge, if you can really take it into your being, will open up all kinds of doors within you. And if you do it often enough, that's the early, late, and often part, what'll happen is, this was a David Walker phrase, you're creating virtual avenues in consciousness. Really what you're doing is shifting within yourself where you've been stuck with stories that would suggest I can't do this and I can't do that, it's too late. You know, you can create the avenues that just open up and clear the way for more prosperity, more loving relationships, more peace, more health, and every single good thing you could ever want. Ernest Holmes, in the glossary of the textbook, has a definition for treatment, and I always go for the easy one because it'll say in its more simplest form, spiritual mind treatment is the time, the art, the method of ridding this negation or this negativity from your consciousness. And it's a lot of work. I mean, simply because we have formed all these agreements. Now I'm going to pull in the 4 agreements. You know, you've heard Don Miguel Ruiz will say we've got these agreements that we've made since the time we're born, and we've absorbed a lot of information since we're kids, and it's been reinforced. And now we have all this, what Shirley calls blind spots. We have all this stuff that we want to neutralize and get the heck out of the way. So, you know, you can reflect in your life who you really are. When it was explained by Don Miguel in the book, The 4 Agreements, he said it's all done with smoke and mirrors. And what he was saying by that is the smoke is all the stuff, the anger, the resentments, the things we have toward other people, the built-in stories you might have about the people you know. And here's the thing to realize. Every one of them are beings of light and wonder, and you are too. But it's very difficult to see the light and wonder in another person if you've got all this smoke or this racket. It's tough to behold the good, the God in another when all you're seeing is your history with that person. And also, you may not be thinking very highly of yourself if you're full of regrets, where you feel ashamed and you've made mistakes, and you know you're coming from a place of not enough and guilt and feeling really poorly about yourself. So you got 2 challenges. You got to clean up what's within you, and then you've got to also see people in a new and true way. Each of us are on planet Earth learning lessons. One of my teachers used to say we are evoluting along. And I like that. He says, you know, you've made a lot of mistakes in your life. I said, well, you don't have to tell me. I said, but the mistakes I've made, I presume, are like everybody else. I was younger. I was kind of a smart, dumb kid. By that I mean I was certainly smart enough, but boy, I made some dumb mistakes. And I don't think I'm alone. I think there's a lot of people who have done things that they regret. The thing that's tragic is if you keep thinking of yourself as deficient, wrong, or bad, and because that gets projected into your entire life and it keeps on going forward. And as I look at anybody I know, unless I'm carrying some crazy story about them, in this teaching we realize that this is a divine being. And this divine being is doing the absolute best. And by that I mean, they've made a whole lot of mistakes, but they're expressing at the highest level that they have known all through their life. And that'll tie directly back into an old American Indian saying, don't judge a single soul unless you've walked a mile in their shoes, right? We shouldn't be judging anybody. Here, I use the word should. I rarely use it. But judging people will get you absolutely nowhere. Understanding that they've done the best that they could, even when you don't like it and even when it's impacted you, what this teaching brings forth ultimately is compassion and the realization that all the world is evolving. And people who have done terrible things, it's where they were. You might be one of the people who have done terrible things. But so what are you going to do? Jump off a bridge? Kill yourself? Wherever you are, you have the ability to start anew. Raymond Charles Barker said, yesterday ended last night. And that's absolutely true. But some people won't let yesterday end last night. Some people will bring all this garbage into the present day. It's like waking up with a big resentment. Now, nobody consciously would wake up with a big resentment. But if you're unhealed, and by that I mean if you're carrying around a lot of these blind spots and these grievances and anger and resentments and all the things that most people do, it really hurts only you. And it's not accurate. Because the love of God, the intelligence of God is all within you, and you have the ability to see it in a different way. You have the ability to hitch your wagon to the stars that Emerson spoke of. And really all he's talking about in that statement is you have the ability to see and have a different kind of vision. And if you can raise your sights to see life as it truly is, whole and perfect, then you'll see life in a different way. If you can understand that you're whole and perfect, you'll open up avenues in mind so you'll have the health that you want. The opportunities will be there. Every good thing will be there because it's all there anyway. The kingdom of good is present, or the kingdom of God. It's here and it's now and it's available to anybody. If you're not experiencing that good in your life, there's another book that will say, well, something's gone wrong. And the only thing that's gone wrong is you're holding on to an old idea. You're holding on to a world that's bad and a world that's full of strife, and you're thinking of wars, and you're thinking of inflation, and you're thinking of, what people have done to you, and you have scorecards in your mind, and that's really unfortunate because it doesn't have to be that way for you. You have the ability to transcend any and all of that and to be living from a different place. The Science of Mind teaching is definitely a powerful, powerful way of living. It's been called the road less traveled because most of the world does not live that way. If you're practicing it actively and early, late, and often, first of all, forget what people are going to think. You're going to start to see things differently, and opportunity after opportunity will open up. You will not have to strive, struggle, or manipulate to see the good. The good will be there. Opportunities, the right people, the right jobs, everything opens up to you by virtue of consciousness. So we're always about doing the spiritual work. This was the message Jesus gave to his mother, when she was wanting him to do something else. And he said to her, if the story is correct, I need to be about my Father's business. And the Father's business coming from that story is I really need to not be involved in the trivial pursuits. I need to be involved in things of higher consciousness. I need to have the willingness to commune with great ideas and to, that was something that I heard from a teacher of mine probably 30 years ago. He said, Greg, you have the ability in this day and age, and he was talking 30 years ago. Now I'm saying in 2020s, you can listen to some amazing, amazing people just by turning on YouTube and by tuning in. And you can commune with some of the greatest minds that have ever lived. You can read some of the great books. But the thing is, it just requires a little bit of effort to lift your sights higher and to step out of just the claptrap of the negativity. And the thing is, it isn't about anyone else. It's always about us. We do the work in mind and in consciousness. Now, I seem to be quoting Agatha every week lately. Agatha is one of our dear practitioners. And I always, when I speak to her, how are you, Agatha? And she says, I'm good, just like you. And I say, what are you doing? She says, I'm working on myself. And that's what we do here. We do the work in consciousness. And we have a great gift in this affirmative prayer process. We don't really teach it on Sundays and Thursdays, but we certainly mention it to you. I'm reminded this morning of Reverend Claypool because she was very powerful that day. We witnessed these people who spoke of these profound physical healings. And she says, Greg, this is the good stuff. She says, this is the power that we have. She says, spiritual mind treatment's the crown jewel of religious science. And I said, yeah, I do. I actually do know that. So all power is yours. And we're going to talk a little bit about how things are going for you when we get to the break. Usually on Sunday, we really want to hear, well, hi, it's my first time. Wherever you're from, just say hello. You don't have to feel pressured to say anything, but just connect with us if you can. And you might share how your week is going, or this is the good news. So this would be the time for you would share whatever's going on with you for a minute or two. We can't share it for a long time because we have quite a few people. And after we do that, we take a couple-minute break, and then Reverend Judith is going to come up with, she's got a lesson here, which is entitled The 3 Important D's. I have no idea. They haven't told me. I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. So I'll let Judith come up for a second now and talk a little bit more about the power of affirmative prayer. She'll have a little bit more to say about it. And then we'll take a break. Come on up. Whatever I didn't say.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Dr. Harte, for the heads up. Okay. The power of affirmative prayer, positive prayer. I think that everybody prays in some form because I think everybody realizes, whether they're conscious of it or not, that there is a higher power, higher than they are, and communes with this power, mostly when they're feeling down or seem like they have a problem or something that they want to make better or get rid of. So you say either, oh, God, help me, or you just, if you realize that there is this power, higher power, and I think everybody does on some level, then you go to it. I think everybody prays in some form in their own way. Our form of prayer, and I think all prayer is really answered according to your belief that it's going to be answered. In the science of mind, when we treat, or our form of affirmative prayer, is based on the fact that there is one power and one presence, and we are connected with it. based on that we are speaking within, not into a creative law out there, but within a creative medium that we are living in that is responding to us. So we have to have a faith. We have faith in what it is and in its responsiveness to us. We have to trust it. We have to believe it. And we can't really waver from it. Once you start saying, oh, please, God, I hope this works, then right away it's being negated. Let's see. In the scriptures it says that Spirit or God or the Creator stands at the door and knocks. To me, that means that it is up to us to open the door. It is up to us to understand who we are and why we are here, so that we can accept the good that's already here for us. And it has to be unlimited good because of who we are and our connection to Spirit. And it's always wooing you. It's always standing at the door and knocking.
Trying to get your attention.
Okay, he's talking to me, but trying to get your attention. Because it wants to be in communion with you. And it wants you to be in conscious communion with it. We are in communion with it because we can't get separated from it. But everything is consciousness, so we live by our consciousness, so we have to be aware of it. That's why I think the teaching is very important. Let's see.
You just can't lose with the stuff we use.
No. Dr. Harte's over here saying we can't lose with the stuff we use, and that's so true. Because the stuff we use is a consciousness, right? Mm-hmm. We use our consciousness constructively. We're using it anyway, whether we know it or not. Just like we're thinking anyway. You know that rooftop talk that's always going on? So instead of being negative and saying, oh, that you can't, or you're too old, or you're too whatever, say the truth about yourself. And the truth is that you are worthy, that you're entitled. You're entitled because of who you are as spirit, individualized. But you can only accept it, all that good, by right of consciousness. So that's why we say and Agatha, I spoke to her last night, she says all the time, like Doctor says, that we work on ourselves all the time. We work on ourselves so that we don't get swayed by the race consciousness, because we're in it, we can't get out of it, into the law of averages that says that some people will make it and some people won't. Some people be happy and some people won't. But Spirit says, you are my beloved in whom I am well pleased. And I am always wooing you, standing at the door and knocking.
And Theodora said, I placed in you all that you do.
Oh, yes, and he's saying, I don't know why he doesn't just stand up here, but Theodora, don't come. Theodora said, what?
I have placed within you
everything you need for life.
Oh, yes. I have placed within you everything that you need for life. And it says someplace else in the scriptures, life abundant. Not just life, but life abundant. So, that's it. Let's see what else I can think of. Okay, well, that's it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Judith. I just thought I'd pull her up here and see if she's going to add something I might have missed.
We don't miss very much, Dr. Harte.
No.
It's just said in a different way.
Well, sometimes when it's said in a different way, a different set of
That's true.
ears can hear it. So ends the lesson. We're going to take a 1 minute break, maybe 2, and so you guys can move around. And then we are going to listen to, Reverend Judith is going to come up. She's got a presentation on the 3 Ds. I guess we can, no, we'll do a closing at the end. So let's just take the break, and we'll see you in just a minute or 2.